A lot of discourse out there about Luka Dončić right now, obviously. And with what happened in Game 3 and the officiating and losing focus and kind of losing his mind for a second. I read this column on theathletic.com about how one day Luka will be great, like truly great, when he takes the lessons that he's learned in this NBA Finals and he applies them to his career. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you. And you had a very visceral reaction when I read this to you off the air before the show. He belongs, he being Luka, he belongs in the highest echelon of basketball legends. It's a safe bet he will someday get behind the velvet rope of the game's best. Games like this, series like these, are how he'll do it because the brink is always where capacities expand. Jordan learned to trust his teammates. Kobe Bryant learned to lead. James learned to shoot. Well, LeBron. Steph Curry learned to fight defensively. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown learned to play smarter and are a win away from a championship. Dončić will join the ranks of the ring bearers once he learns about defense, about poise, about focus, about the margins that can tilt the scales in the clashing of greats. As somebody who played with Jordan and through the era of a lot of those guys that I just mentioned, right?
Yeah.
How do you react to that? What do you think about
Negatively.
that?
I react really poorly to that because, first of all, you want to – everyone wants to – Kendrick Perkins, this dude here, they want to anoint Luka so badly. He just mentioned 3 things that he needs to work on, whereas he said that, Jordan needed to trust his teammates and LeBron needed the jump shot and Curry needed toughness. Like, those dudes are awesome basketball players, and Luka's good. He's not at that level right now. He's got about an additional 3 things outside of that he needs to improve on, and he needs to win some championships before we start ever putting him some, I guess, class behind the velvet ropes. Like, Dirk Nowitzki. People forget how good Dirk was, and Dirk is never even mentioned with the likes of LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant. When I played with Dirk, and I forget to mention him when I talk about the great players that I played with. And I'm serious. I'll mention Scottie Pippen.
I'm looking at the other side of the glass. We're all laughing about that. That was really funny.
Talks about Dirk.
And I forget about him.
I'll talk about Dirk.
For the love, I forget about Dirk sometimes.
Right? Okay, so I'm just shocked that so many people. Is it just because the NBA postseason has been so horrible that they're looking for something to write about, and it's this kid with his triple doubles, ability to be able to shoot the 3 and the passing ability he has, that's the story that they're willing to go there?
I don't know.
It's shocking to me.
I mean, look, I don't think anybody would dispute that Luka, he clearly does not belong in that class of conversation. I mean, obviously, he's not there yet. He hasn't earned it yet. I guess from my perspective, like he's obviously a very, very skilled basketball player. Like he can do things on a floor that it's sometimes you watch and your mouth just kind of drops out. Like, how'd he do that? How'd he do that? But there's clearly a long way for him to go to be a championship. See, now what I thought you were upset about when I read this was the insinuation that Michael Jordan needed to learn how to trust his teammates, or the implication that Kobe Bryant wasn't a baked-in leader.
Yes, there's that too.
Because I read this story and I was thinking, I always think local, and I think to myself, what does Devin Booker need to learn how to do to kind of take this leap? But it sounds like you're not of the belief that Luka is anywhere near the zip code of this level of greatness that we're talking about with these guys. What is there?
He's
anything,
having a heck of a run.
Is
I'll
there
give
anything
him
he
that.
can do to get there in your mind? What does he need to do to get there in your mind?
Well, first of all, let's not get doors blown off at an NBA Finals, right? Like, so to me, right? Like that's what those guys were great at, like winning, right? Like when it's winning time, they delivered. Michael Jordan, when it was winning time, he didn't just meet expectations; he surpassed expectations. And if you want to put a guy in that type of a category, I'm not seeing that, right? Like regardless of what's going on around, and I get it. It's always baby steps. I think the Celtics, they were closer a couple years. You had to suffer that losing.
Sure.
Now they're on the brink of winning. You can go back to the Bulls. You can go back to the Pistons. In the 80s and the 90s, it takes some time to get there. I just don't want writers or fans to start skipping steps and making Luka mention him in the same breath as a Michael Jordan or as a LeBron James or a Steph Curry.
Okay.
Stop that.
Yeah, fair. Interesting. Fair.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.